just believe me, this journey will relieve us. Stay with me while we leave. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me, this journey will relieve us. Stay with me.
Till you find your way back home. Don't let me drown. Don't let me drown. Don't let me drown.
What is up, guys? Welcome to Diggity, a video game podcast, episode number, I don't know what, was not prepared for that number, but you know what?
278, I think.
278, something like that. I'm Jeff James. With me, as always, the incredible, unobtainable, luscious Brody Faltz on this illustrious, wintry day outside in the great state of Indiana. We're not in America. We're in Indiana.
Famously known for being its own country.
Absolutely. Completely lawless. Yeah, this weather sucks. So congrats. Congrats
that's why
to
we're
you for driving home in the evening like this to fucking do this, because this is wild. Like,
yeah, this is why we're starting even later than we were already going to start late. We were hoping to be live by 9:30, and it was the roads are not nice. They are not nice right now. So if you have to go out, be careful. Be careful.
Be very, very careful. Yeah, and like the cold is what's going to be crazy tomorrow, man. It's going to be set just straight up, just fucking -30 with the wind chill.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is that about?
That's fine. It's fucking fine. Yeah, I have to go into work tomorrow too.
Yeah,
so that's going to be fun.
That's not great.
It's supposed to be -4 without the wind chill tomorrow when I am leaving for work. So, yeah, whatever. It's fine.
What would you rather have? Because let's be honest, this episode's gonna be a little bit more chillax than the typical one. We're getting towards the end of we're right near Christmas.
Yeah,
we're getting at the
it's
end of the
loose.
holiday season.
Loose.
Happy Hanukkah to those who celebrate. We're getting close to the end here. I guess Happy Kwanzaa too, if you celebrate that as well. Festivus as well, if you celebrate that. Big Seinfeld fans probably out there. What would you rather take? Would you rather take cold ass weather or snow? Shit tons of snow. Because this storm really gave us just a tiny bit of snow. And then it's not a shit ton of snow though. It's only like we're only supposed to get like 6 inches or something like that. That's not terrible.
Yeah, and it keeps going down. It started off as like a foot, and then it was 8 inches.
Like
now it's 6 inches
inches on like Tuesday, and I'm like, damn. And then like the next day it was like 5 inches of snow.
Yeah, it's the guy lying about his fish story. It was I'm kind of this big. No, I would rather have very cold weather. Because at least you can still fucking travel in it. When you get too much snow or anything like that, the travel becomes a little trickier. It's still very possible, but I would rather take the cold. I do pretty well in the cold most of the time anyway, and you can layer the fuck up and still go out there and be okay. But the snow, that's where it starts to get tricky. Especially because I don't have a 4-wheel drive vehicle anymore. I have for the past. Well, not quite decade, but I have always had a 4-wheel drive vehicle. So if I had to go into work, the Jeep got traded in. So now I have a 2-wheel drive truck, and she gets a little squirrely, just a little bit on the squirrely side. How about you? Cold or snow? I mean, you're from the Great White North, so
I would probably
experienced plenty of both.
So in Indiana, I would rather take the cold because the only reason why I would take the snow is because I enjoy snowboarding and shit like that. And unless you're behind a fucking snowmobile being dragged, you ain't doing much fucking snowboarding in the state. Fair enough. I would probably say just in Indiana, definitely the cold because you can also travel. I mean, my parents are down for Christmas time. And they ended up coming a day earlier because of the storm. And, they're all just like, whatever, it's not a big deal. I'm like, no, you need to understand, like, they don't do shit here.
We don't handle it quite like the Great White North. Like, we're not prepared for it. We are too
that shit's running. Like, they don't plow it until, like, let's wait till the last snowflake falls. No, now it's more fucking work.
Right. We are to Canada as Texas is to us, like prepared for this level of weather.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, they had to come down earlier. So, I'd probably say if it wasn't in Indiana, or I guess a flat state, because there's a lot of states like Indiana in the U.S., I'd say snow. But
fair enough.
Say cold just for traveling. I am very happy though that this storm happened now and not. I was so fucking scared, dude, that this was gonna happen like 3 days from now because we're going to the Colts game the day after Christmas, and I was like, "Fuck, this is either gonna delay or cancel that game, or like when they were talking 14 inches in snow and shit, they would like cancel it and move it to a different fucking stadium or some bullshit like that. You know what I mean? They put it in the Lions Stadium, like they did for the Buffalo game.
Yeah.
Oddly enough,
Yeah, that
would
was
probably
wild.
cancel out the Colts and allow them to win playing at the Lions, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch Nick Foles, Brody, on Monday. Nick
Wild.
Foles is playing wild.
Fucking
They
wild.
interviewed him. They hasn't thrown the ball this year. They interviewed him and he says, "Oh, this isn't a sports podcast, but I don't really give a shit." But they interviewed him and he's like, "What? How you feel?" And he's like, "Well, just got to go out there and do what they're paying me to do." It's like, great,
Fantastic.
Now you're playing Higbee and the Chargers, so I want to do a little bit better than we've been doing each year because I'd rather not go to a Colts. I haven't been to a Colts game where they've lost.
Maybe you're good luck. I'm typically bad luck. Like, just in general. I don't. Every time I even wear something Ravens related, we fucking lose. So I'm to the point I'm just like, nah, we are.
Well, right now my family is watching Thursday night football downstairs. The Jags versus the Jets.
Oh,
Thursday night,
Ooh.
dude. Thursday night football is so bad.
it is.
Why would you ever
It
pay
is.
for that?
Speaking of which, did you see that? Who was it that is in
Google.
potentially in a Google? Yeah, that's right.
Bro,
So Google
I'm
might have the.
pissed about that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Why's
pissed
that?
because okay, so Apple was trying to figure out something with the NFL where it would be an a la carte package. So if I just wanted to see the Seahawks and the Colts, I would just get those games and it would reduce the cost. Google is just looking to have it as like, hey, add this for $20 a month, $40 a month, which is bullshit. I would have versus like the Apple thing, the stuff that had leaked would be like two teams
Yeah.
would cost you
Choose
like,
your team.
would
Yeah.
cost you like 10, 15 bucks a month. This shit's going to cost you probably like 40 fucking bucks a month. Easy.
Yeah.
Which is bullshit.
Yeah. I don't. Ooh.
So also, like just like in your reply in that text thread that you and I were in with Craig and Ethan, yeah, they're going to fuck it up.
Google will fuck it up. If there's even a slight chance they could fuck it up, they will fuck it up.
It'll die
Which,
within a year.
Yeah, probably.
It'll be in part of the Google graveyard, googlegraveyard.com. Go there if you've never been there. It's incredible.
It's a busy place, man.
It is a busy. There's a new entry like every month in that place. Stadia's almost dead?
January.
So I haven't said this on the podcast, and it's insane to me that I haven't. But I just want to say to the people that told me it wasn't gonna die, fuck you. Fuck you. That's it. Including the Stadia engineer that DM'd me and said I was a piece of shit. Fuck you. I don't know if you have a job. I hope you still retain a job, have it somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe it's at Wendy's now. I don't fucking know. Job's a job. But hopefully you've retained your job. You're not in a layoff. But fuck you.
Nick said New York, Jeff.
Straight up, dude.
Hey, fuck you.
Seriously. Dude, it came to me like that I hadn't said that yet. I was having a shower like 2 days ago.
A literal shower thought of I need to tell people fuck them.
Scrubbing my head with the shampoo and I went, I've never.
What's it like to use shampoo?
It's interesting. Burns the eyes sometimes.
I don't have that problem. Not at all. Not even slightly.
What do you do?
Just body wash. And fucking just bring that bad boy right up on top of the head.
Never thought about that. Just body wash. Imagine you just Dawn dish soap.
I used to notoriously keep a thing of Dawn dish soap in my shower.
Hands for the grease.
Yeah, for all the grease and
Cuts
shit.
all the
When I
grease
was
off, easy.
still turning wrenches.
You were like a duck in a fucking oil spill.
Yeah, and Dawn saved my life.
Amazing. Incredible. Well, anyways, let's get to some little news, shall we? Not too much this week, but there's little tidbits that we need to talk about and discuss, and more honestly, on the lines of kind of just giving our opinions on some stuff, because I think there's some things that have come out where it's really just kind of like that's cool, but we should maybe talk about that and just kind of give our opinion on why we wouldn't do that, or maybe we don't want to see that. So let's start off with the first one, that God of War TV show has officially been greenlit by Amazon.
I don't like it.
Yeah. So there's 2 points to this. One, it's Amazon, which is frightening.
I will say I did just start watching the Rings of Power. First episode, at least. Very good.
It?
Yeah, very good. It is slow moving for sure, but I mean that's to be expected from the Lord of the Rings series, right? But very, very, very good. It could go downhill from here. I don't know, but I'm not entirely against Amazon having it. I think they're doing better.
Here's my thing with this. This is going to be live action. Who the fuck can play Kratos?
I don't know. Like,
He
that's
seems
probably
unplayable, like in an actor perspective. Like, who the fuck can capture that?
Right. And I know they do mocap for the games before somebody chimes in thinking they're a genius. I understand that. But this is a whole different ballgame. Like, you have to perfectly do all of these things or people are going to hate it. It is in my mind,
in the games, by the way.
But
video
at least
game
obtainable,
height
right?
And shit is so fucking skewed and stupid.
Yeah.
By different camera angles and shit, which I guess you could do also in cinema. But I mean, it's like it's just weird.
It's similar to
live action Mario.
No, it is similar to a like almost Master Chief, right? Like they try to capture this otherworldly fucking person where it is
Bigger
like
life.
Yeah, I mean Master Chief is like fucking 7 foot tall, right? Like, but that being said, at least Kratos is an obtainable height, but he is also a god. He is a like brutally insane, strong individual that how do you capture that kind of weight? How do you capture that kind of experience without it being bad? Like you look at something of they've tried it before, right? Like there's plenty of different movies that try to capture it and most of them come off cheesy. Not exactly what I was thinking, but yes. I don't feel like they are going to be able to do this well. I don't know who on earth you even pick for this role that can do it well.
The names I've heard, people are like, "Oh, just get Christopher Judge."
Inherently, there's a few problems with that.
There is a big problem with that.
For one, he is not a young man anymore. He hurt himself filming the fucking game, doing mocap for the game. That is part of the delay. 2, Kratos is covered in white ashes of his family. Inherently, there's a problem there.
Might not work well in this day and age.
I love Christopher Judge. He does an excellent job in this game.
Could you imagine any other character with that aesthetic from that origin? So like you go to Mario, like his red hat is from the blood soaked. It was a white hat, but it was soaked in the blood of his fucking enemies. Could you imagine that kind of shit? Instead, it's like, it's Kratos, badass. Yeah, his white pigmentation comes from him rubbing the ashes of his family all over his body.
It was part of his curse. It was part of his curse because of how all that went down and to make him always have to remember it, right? Like, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've played those games, but...
I feel like a CGI show would be cool.
And have Judge come and voice him. That'd be fucking cool. Do it Castlevania style. Yeah,
that would be fine. But like just like you said with Master Chief, otherwise known as Master Cheese sometimes as well, in other worldly parts of the internet. With Master Chief, when you watch it, first of all, it's a terrible fucking show. But the second piece of it is when you actually watch it, you just go, that's a guy in a suit.
Right.
And then
I
other
think
parts of it are not a guy in a suit. It's CGI. That's poorly
Right.
done.
it looked really bad. Granted, they didn't have the budget behind it that, I imagine
Which
Amazon's
is
going to throw at it.
fucking wild that they
Yes.
did not put a large budget behind it. People would
Or
have
that they hired a
absolutely
team.
lost it for just CGI.
I hired a team that didn't give a fuck about Halo either, right? Like I agree with Ed in our chat here. Like these gaming to movie / TV adaptions are entirely out of hand. Like
Sonic.
why are we doing this? Honestly, Sonic was a okay
Yeah.
adaptation.
Well, 'cause it's
like for what it
cartoonish, right?
is. Right, exactly. Like that's where it works. Castlevania as an anime fucking works great. Arcane as that real like illustrated style, awesome. Things like that work well because you don't have to rely on creating this weight with a actual human. You can do it entirely in the art style, which is what they do in the fucking video games, and that's why it works in the fucking video games. But notoriously, gaming adaptations are terrible. Like
Yeah.
Cyberpunk again also worked because it was an anime. You start going into something of, fucking they've done Hitman, they've done Assassin's Creed, they've done Prince of Persia. All of these things are bad. They are just so bad, and why do we keep doing this? I'm honestly
synergy.
scared for The Last of Us. Like I want it to be good.
Theoretically, it should be better because it is.
Yes.
I mean, it's basically
It's something that's-
I don't want to piss people off, but it could go to a Walking Dead style where like it's somewhat easy to do a life like an adaptation, a live action of that than it is to do God of War. I just don't. I don't know. It's silly, but we're gonna get more of these. We know we're gonna get more of these. I think this is a way, and it makes I can't blame Sony if something wants to pick something up. I think it's important that the company go for it. They need to raise more capital if they want to go buy more shit and continue to build their business. So I get it. They're obviously also looking for synergy where, obviously there was that thought that there's a Last of Us 3 being made right now. And the rumor is that they're going to launch this, they're going to launch Last of Us, and it's either going to be revealed that it's being worked on after the first episode or after the first season is done. They will discuss that a Last of Us 3 game is coming out. And I get the synergy to it. I understand it. The problem is that I think that the world of TV and movies and the world of video games are so vastly different that really there is not the synergy. There's hardcore gamers who are going to do both, and then the general public is just going to give a fuck about one of them. Like the general
Mostly,
public is going to play like The Last of Us, and they're going to say, that's cool, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
And they're gonna know there's a TV show. They're gonna know. They're gonna see it, but they're gonna go, yeah, that's enough for me. I'm okay with just the game. And then somehow that like mindset, just as soon as you bring that up, people are like, well, absolutely not. Everyone's gonna no, not everybody watches that shit. Like me personally, I would rather just play the fucking game. I don't want to watch TV shit. I don't care. I do not care about TV shows.
For The Last of Us, I would rather watch the TV show because it's not my style of game. I don't really care for these like survival-esque, spooky games or whatever. Right?
Sure.
That's not really my thing. But I agree. Right? Like I don't. There's not that synergy. Most people are going to want to do one or the other because, especially in this case, like it's probably going to follow the same fucking story that's in the game. So if you're a Last of Us fan, there's really not a whole lot of reason to watch this other than Pedro Pascal. And I don't know. I don't really see the value in that. But then again, I mean, a lot of people were excited for Resident Evil stuff, and it came out and was bad. But regardless, like people are like, oh yeah, no, I'd watch it. That's fine. It's a remake of this, and there's certainly something to be said for remakes. But a lot of these games are still pretty modern, and there's not really any reason to make a live action of them at this point.
Yeah, I think you get a lot more bang for your buck if you start out on TV or a movie and then you go to video game. Like if you look at Walking Dead as an example, that's a perfect example. You can get people into gaming based on the TV show, and then people say, well, what if it's already established? I get it, but like it's already fucking come out. So people are going to watch this TV show. The first thing that's going to come on the screen is based on the video game. And that
Yep.
means it's already fucking past tense onto it. So they're going, okay, cool. So it's based on something in the past that's already been fucking created. Not many people are going to go back and watch that shit. They're just going to watch what's there, and they're going to think that they understand the fucking game. Versus if you built it out through a TV show like Walking Dead, and then you said, and we're coming out with a game, I think you get a lot more oomph from that. But PlayStation is venturing into, this new synergy-based world where they want to get royalties. And to be honest with you, at the same time, like, all you need is one big hit.
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
the TV side of stuff for that shit to take off. And then you're making buku bucks on the licensing and royalties for where you start seeing, a lunchbox where they're all the same, but they just got a different sticker with The Last of Us on it, plushies, shit like that. Then you're in a, name a Think Geek store. You're in a GameStop, and you've got all the shit, the merchandise and license shit there, and you're killing it. That's easy money for Sony. So, okay, well, moving on to some more Sony stuff. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
One quick side note there. So the biggest Last of Us fan that I know, Evan, or otherwise known as Bagel Boy in our Discord,
Bag.
Bagel. He is also not too keen on them making a third Last of Us game.
No, not many people are.
I kind of think it's gonna get to the point where it's a bit of a not kind of money grab, right? Like where it is this awkward thing of we're continuing a franchise that could have been left at the first game. People love the first game. People were upset when you made a second one.
Then they remade it also.
Game came out, and the game came out. A lot of people enjoyed it, but there was also a lot of people that did not and wish they would have left it at the first. So now you do a third game and make matters even worse.
Yeah.
And I think they're milking it too much, and it's going to be a problem, or they're going to end up ruining a well-regarded franchise. And I don't
worried about the studio.
I think it's good.
That's my.
They're kind of showing their hand as a one-trick pony. Like I have nothing against Naughty Dog. I think they make incredible games, but when you make Uncharted and The Last of Us,
yeah, but I think that's like to your point. That's the problem. Like Sony's such a good first party. Like the PlayStation 5 is, or PlayStation ecosystem is incredible for first person or first party titles.
yes,
And the reason why that is because they've taken risks in changing shit and doing new stuff. I totally agree with you. When it was the Uncharted side of stuff, and we got to the fourth Uncharted, I was like, oh man, come on, can we do something? And then we came up with Last of Us, and they went forward with that shit. So I agree. I don't want them to do the third one because I'd like them to spread their wings and create some new shit and just go out and try stuff. I mean, I think people are also forgetting that that's how we got Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
They went and tried something new. So I think that, they learn different techniques in games. There's a lot of stuff in The Last of Us that you can carry over and see in design and mechanics from Uncharted through the years, which is great. But I too would also like to see a new franchise and it not be the one-trick pony. But then on the other side, from a business perspective, I also get it because it would print fucking money. And I feel like they know that they would have to end at 3. I mean, even Santa Monica, Ragnarok, that's it.
yeah,
They're done.
allegedly.
We got to work. Allegedly, yes, they're done. So it's but now they're going to do a fucking TV show. But it's hopefully that's the send off and it's over and it's done. And they don't do a third one because I would like them to use their talent to build a new franchise, which I think would ultimately help Sony. But it's also a gamble, right? You sit there and you're like, we have something that clearly works, people like. And again, there's gamers and then there's the general public that plays these games, which is a far bigger majority that spends more money on the games than the hardcore gamers. In lieu of how many people are actually buying The Last of Us.
Right.
And as a company, you're like, do we take the fucking gamble or do we go for it one more time? Because let's be fucking real. They'd probably make a shit ton of money.
Oh, I'm sure.
And to my point, you'd at least be able to get people into The Last of Us 3 from the TV show. Maybe not 1 and 2 because it'd be caught up and maybe season 1 focuses on number 1. Season 2 focuses on 2. They can remake The Last of Us Part 2. And then season 3, they can come out with Last of Us 3.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know.
That's an entirely fair assessment.
I mean, that maybe that's the way to get the synergy that they're looking for. But I do agree with you. It is, and I've been kind of stunned. I've heard a ton of people who I know are big Last of Us fans on different podcasts discuss how they don't want that to be a thing. They just want it to. This is perfect. Leave it alone, which is incredible to hear. Because a lot of times in this community, people are like, "Bring it on, bring us another one, bring us another one," and then they complain.
Right. Well, I don't know why you fucking idiots made another one yet. Yeah.
So
I've seen it a million times, right?
Yes. So it's kind of nice to see like the community kind of being like, "Oh, hold on, maybe we should wait. Maybe we should just stop for a second." It's kind of cool. Some other quick Sony news. We'll just rip through these couple stories very quickly. But a new game plus will be coming to God of War Ragnarok in spring of 2023. A tweet came out from Santa Monica Studios. It says, we know many of you have been asking, so we're happy to confirm that New Game Plus will be coming to God of War Ragnarok spring 2023. We'll share more details once we get closer to the release. Are you happy about this? Will you play it, or will you say, nah, I'm good, bro?
I haven't even beat it on my first playthrough yet.
So that's
I've been dragging my feet on this one. I probably will not play New Game Plus.
Because of the game or time?
It is such a, both. It is a weird thing. Every time I am playing the game, I absolutely love it and can't wait and just want to keep playing it and don't want to stop. But every time I sit down and want to play something, it is not the game that comes to mind. Not because it's bad, not because I don't enjoy it. It is just, I don't know. It's a weird thing that for whatever reason, I cannot get sucked into it like I do a lot of other games where it is this, like, I can't wait to get home and play this. I can't wait to play this again. And honestly, I think if it was on my PC, I would have beat it already and it wouldn't have been an issue, but I haven't been playing on my PlayStation a whole lot. And that's just kind of where I'm at now. So I don't know. I enjoy the game. I think it's fantastic. I just cannot get pulled into it like I did with 2018, and even that took me a while to get pulled into. So I don't know. It's weird. I'm happy it's coming. I just don't know if I'll actually do it, quite frankly.
Fair enough. Some other quick Sony news. Sony seemed to be in the news mainly this week, which is kind of crazy. I mean, there's not much fucking going on at Xbox except for getting fucked by the FTC right now. So Phil Spencer is not happy. I can't believe he even showed up to the Game Awards. That was pretty wild.
There is one little Xbox tidbit I'll throw out there that we don't necessarily need to focus on, but apparently they're talking about having some sort of an ad level Game Pass subscription, more or less, where it's like $3. Yeah, so I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if you have to fucking watch an ad while you're playing it or just before you play it or what that actually looks like. But
wouldn't that be great? You're just about to, boot up Forza and then a commercial for a lawsuit against people with mesothelioma pops up.
Yeah, I don't love the idea, but I don't know. I also don't necessarily blame them for at least having that option.
Yeah, making money
exactly. Depends on what news source you look at.
Hasn't made fucking money yet.
I've seen some of them claim that they do and some of them don't because they haven't actually released numbers on what that actually is.
Don't fucking know what they're talking about. This fucking thing has not made money.
And you know this based on what numbers that you've seen?
The amount of fucking acquisitions they've made in the last 5 years.
Well, that's not exactly Game Pass related, but it is.
Game Pass products.
Okay, I mean, I guess. So is every fucking Sony thing a PS Plus
because
extra?
They don't go to PS Plus.
They do eventually.
They don't go day one.
It doesn't mean it's a fucking Game Pass product. It's an Xbox product that is on Game Pass.
There's no way this shit's making money because
they haven't even added any first-party games this year, really, and but they were still having people subscribe to it. They had a 28% increase.
They've got third-party shit, but I'm telling you, as someone who has worked the deals, just even from third-party games, and some decent ones, and then also shitty ones, might I add, not great games, the amount of money that they pay for Game Pass games, I don't understand how it'd be feasible that they're making money off of it.
I don't disagree. Like, I'm not saying they aren't making money, but we also haven't seen any official numbers on
We're
that.
never going to. It's Microsoft.
No, of course we aren't, because Xbox keeps everything pretty close to the hip, right? Like, and they have
and
for
Microsoft's
good reason
brutal for that shit too, because they'll just.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like what when it was Windows 8 devices, that Xbox One was a Windows 8 device.
Yeah.
And they named that printers were Windows 8 devices. So when they said they had how many devices, it's a fucking joke. Sony's 210 DualSense Edge controller will have worse battery life than the original.
That's not great, because the original already sucks.
Yes. So Sony has revealed further details of its new DualSense Edge wireless controller for the PlayStation 5, but one particular point stuck out the most. In a hands-on preview, The Verge, which be questionable sometimes, noticed that battery life was noticeably worse than the base DualSense controller, and this was later confirmed to the publication in a statement. The DualSense Edge wireless controller's operating time is moderately shorter than the original DualSense wireless controller, a Sony spokesperson said. We wanted to strike a good balance between wireless operating time and delivering robust high performance features. Bullshit. You wanted to put the same fucking battery balance? Pack.
Yeah.
You wanted to put the same battery pack that you have in the normal shit.
I genuinely don't understand why people are so against having actual removable fucking batteries for things. Like, people despise the fact that the Xbox controller has batteries.
It's like, give a shit.
They have rechargeable batteries that last for days of playing for hours. Yeah. Meanwhile, my PS4 controller can barely make it through playing God of War for 4 fucking hours.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. If you have to constantly have 2 controllers for a single player game if you want to play for a long stint of time, like, I know. Yeah, genius.
It's a age old. Well, I guess age old now, just because of the different generations of consoles since we've been doing this with wireless controllers. But I mean, yeah, you can, like, my thing is just either plug a fucking cable in, or like, yeah, if you have the ability to pop a different battery pack in, that sounds great. Like, I mean, that's, that's wonderful. Because you think that statement's terrible? Wait till you hear the second statement by Sony. You ready for this one?
Other favorite. Yeah, one other thing. My other favorite part is how many people that are bitching about, the fucking batteries and stuff use a goddamn wireless mouse. Most wireless mouse or mice take fucking batteries too. Like,
hey,
I just don't.
Mine charges USB-C, okay?
Yeah, some of them do, right? But mine takes fucking batteries and is no big deal. Like, I just don't understand.
So, okay, you ready for the second statement? Because this one's gonna be so much worse than the first one. Like, way worse jargon. Okay, so Sony's statement reminded owners that they get a long USB braided cable. Okay, so it says, additionally, the longer USB braided cable is also great for competitive players who prefer playing with a wired connection to avoid wireless interference. This option preserves battery life. No shit, it's fucking plugged in, dude.
It's not even that long of a fucking cable.
No, the braided one that comes with the DualSense Edge.
Yeah,
it's a little bit longer. It's also braided.
You see these chairs behind me?
It's also braided, which makes it better, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that cable barely reaches there. That is relatively close to the fucking TV compared to what most people have in their fucking house.
You know what's also insane? Why are we braiding cables?
Yeah, who gives a fuck?
Like, why are we putting a sweater on a cable?
Because it sounds fancy.
Sweaters. Yeah, you know where you can get this?
It sounds fancy,
dude.
Yeah.
The gas
station's been selling braided cables before braided cables were cool.
Absolutely.
They were always the shittiest fucking cables.
All they were doing is charging your phone, dude. They don't get these companies are just getting either opposing side, because now all the Xbox fanboys come out of the woodwork and just fucking lose their minds over this, because this is just like, like erect nipple inducing fucking hard on shit for Xbox fans, and then the PlayStation fans are just going, well, you take double A's, and then you and I both sit here and go, yeah, I mean, you either plug it the fuck in or you put some fresh double A's in it.
Yeah. Like, oh, my gaming session was cut short. I had a fucking day to myself, and I sat at home and binged God of War, but my gaming session was cut short because my controller died after fucking 3.5 hours. Like, I don't
It is
know.
absolutely insane that people even fight about this. It's crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, and even some of the Xbox controllers, like you can buy the fucking battery packs that you put on there if you really want to just be able to plug it in, and it's no big deal, right? Like
too, though.
they do.
They die within like a year. Like in terms of like battery degradation is terrible. Okay, moving on to the last piece of PlayStation news. So these are PlayStation Plus games plus extra premium that are all leaving starting January and into February and even March, which is kind of crazy. So leaving by January 17th, 2023, Bound by Flame, The Last Tinker City, The Council, Space Hulk Tactics, Shinus, The Lighting Kingdom, Electronic Superjoy, Seasons After Fall, Leo's Fortune, Masters of Anima, Enigmatis, The Ghosts of Maple Creek, and Jump Jet Rex. Leaving.
I've literally heard of like 3 of those games.
I know. I'm with you on that. Leaving by February 21st, 2023, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, the definitive edition.
The definitively bad edition.
Absolutely. The Agatha Christie, the ABC murders. Man, we're just wrecking it. we're just savage. Rad Rogers, Sign Mora X, Skydrift Infinity, Sparkle Unleashed, The Book of Unwritten Tales 2, and The Turing Test. I fucking haven't heard any of those except for Grand Theft Auto. And then leaving by March 13th, 2023, WWE 2K22.
That's it?
That's it.
On that. Okay. Well, I even put out a list if you only have one game determined to leave at a time. In 3 months. Who gives a shit?
They did it. It's their thing.
I
They
did.
don't have enough games to put on it. They don't have enough games to put off of it, dude. They're stuck. Have you seen the PS3? Like, the premium is mind-boggling because in no fucking way does it make sense. It's fucking insane. In no way does it make sense to purchase the premium. There are PS3 titles, Brody, that they could put on there that require no negotiation. That they should put on there that they fucking own.
Yes.
And they're not on there.
Yes.
It's a disaster.
Yes.
Anyways, moving on from that stuff, we got some Kojima. You ready for this one? You love you some Kojima. Kojima says Microsoft understood his, quote, unusual game when others thought he was, quote, mad. Xbox and Kojima Productions are collaborating on a cloud-based title, which has been rumored for a while. Hideo Kojima has explained how his studio came to partner with Microsoft on an upcoming title and has again suggested it won't be a traditional game. Alongside the recently confirmed Death Stranding 2... Absolutely. It won't be normal. Kojima Productions is currently working with Xbox on a cloud-based project that was announced in June. At the time, Kojima described it as a, quote, completely new game, one that no one has ever experienced or seen before, quote. And in a more recent interview, he claimed one of his next titles is, quote, like a new medium. Interesting. Goodness. In the new interview with IGN, Kojima said that in addition to Death Stranding 2, we're making one other unusual title. He said the game was pitched to a large number of potential partners, but Microsoft was the only one to really get the concept, while others thought he was mad.
Meanwhile, Phil Spencer's going, yeah,
because they're desperate.
I agree.
Continues on, Kojima says, I tend to get easily bored, he said. Part of why I've been able to make games for 30 years is because new technology replaces the old so quickly. The tech you use today may not be applicable tomorrow, and I'm interested in figuring out ways to incorporate the new. Making the wrong choice can result in failure. Of course, it's a bit like a space program in that way. The project we're working on with Microsoft is one I have been thinking about for 5 or 6 years already. The project required infrastructure that was never needed before, so I discussed it with lots of different big companies and gave presentations, but they really seemed to think that I was mad. It was ultimately Microsoft who showed that they understood, and now we're working together on the project, including the technology front. So, based on footage leaked last month, Kojima's unannounced project would appear to be a horror game called Overdose. He said he's hoping to provide more information on the game that he's making, as well as some visual projects next year. This is also amongst him working on Death Stranding 2.
So hear me out. I do not care for Kojima games. They're not my thing at all. That being said, I am glad that there is somebody like Kojima in gaming that can do some weird, funky ass shit and has a big enough fan base, because it does. It helps other more creative other creative games like that to be made. Whether they are for me or not is regardless. This is more just, I'm glad he's doing some weird shit. Let him fucking do some weird shit, and the people that want to play these weird ass games can play these weird ass games, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? Like your taste in games is entirely subjective, and that's the beauty of it. And ultimately, he's doing some cool shit, and fucking let the dude go.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's cool that there is a company and a person to which it's kind of like an incubator, I guess, where they can try some interesting, weird things out, some very artsy things. This, to me, sounds like a movie. And it's just going to be a click and go to the next scene. I don't, like, if it comes from the cloud piece, what do we mean from the cloud piece? Do we mean like a level of connectivity with people? Do we mean maybe some enhanced graphics? Nintendo's doing that with like Hitman and shit to get it on Switch. I mean, I don't understand what this would come to. Maybe it influences a show. I don't know. But we'll have to see. Nick says, I don't think Kojima would create a point-click type thing. He kind of did already.
No, he played he made Amazon Delivery Man.
I do like it though that some guy can go and try some crazy new stuff out, and like you said, there's a fan base that will support it enough to where he doesn't really have to worry if it's a flop or not. But yeah, my guess would be that it's going to interact with the movie or TV show that he's also rumored to be working on. And whatever changes in the TV show and whatever changes in the movie changes shit. Because I really don't know what else it would be at this point. He notes a new medium. So at this point, I would assume that it's going to cross mediums. I don't understand what are we going to smell stuff? Because I don't understand how we're going to get to this point. It could be in VR, though, also. So, but if it's going to be with Microsoft and it's technology, it's probably cloud computing at the forefront.
Oh, I would assume so, yeah. I don't try to assume what Kojima's gonna do, because it's gonna be some out of fucking left field bullshit.
He's also
not artist. Bullshit, right? It's not bullshit. It is gonna be some crazy out of left field sort of idea bullshit that nobody saw coming, right? Like,
but it's also not gonna be that. It's also gonna be like, this is a new medium, and he's gonna say, yeah, we're using cloud for the first time in a game to do X, Y, Z, and you're like, yeah,
Crackdown 3 did it.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's gonna be like it. I look at Kojima makes some brilliant stuff. I get it. I think he's a brilliant man. But he also is similar to that of artists that also throw paint at a canvas. And we call that modern art.
It's abstract, right? Like it is some fucking out there
shit. There's a market for it, but if you look at it also, you're like, okay, I see it, but this is a lot of marketing here for what is otherwise a walking delivery simulator, but amongst other things. And I get it. There's some deep moments. You have to think deep, I guess. I
don't play video games to think deep. Let's be real honest here. I don't know. That's not. If I wanted to fucking think deep, I'd read a fucking book. Like I want to fucking click.
Maybe he's making.
I want to click on something and something go boom. Let's be honest. That's where I'm at. That is my wind down time. It's to sit down and just do some mindless bullshit. And that's not everybody. I understand. Some people want to have some deep interflexion, or introspective fucking whatever the hell, but that's
they'd like to stand in front of a painting and question.
God damn it,
themselves,
Nick.
what is it? Yeah.
You woke a beast. Look what you did.
He has a book.
He has a book.
Yeah. I just, you said it perfectly there. It really is like when you have the modern art and me, I'm an asshole. I walk by that and I go, right, that is splatter on the canvas. Meanwhile, there are 30 people standing there like this, looking at it, staring at it, pondering what more could it be as I walk by and go, yeah, I think they just kind of whipped paint at that. And then the rest of it is really just like in them, the person who whipped paint at it.
Yes.
But that's my piece. Anyways, moving on. Last story before we get into listener questions. But, Brody, age-old debate on the interwebs, as most things are. But we finally got some data. Over 94% of all video game sales in 2022 were reportedly digital. 94%. I'm surprised by that.
I wouldn't have thought it would be that high.
Not
I figured
that
it would
high.
definitely be the majority, but I wouldn't
Correct,
have thought it would be 94%.
I would have expected like 70%, 75%,
Yeah.
something like that. Because you got to take into account Switch. And I think kids, and I'm like, to me, I don't have kids. You do. I'm like, I thought the parents would buy the physical fucking version of the game for their kid, but I guess not.
I honestly, for Switch, I mainly buy the physical version unless it's like a smaller indie game or something that I'm going to be playing myself. That's about the only time I really buy digital most of the time, but
here we go. Hold on. Digging deeper in the data. We are close to this. So, according to the data, 94.2% of video game sales were done through digital stores instead of physical or box sales, as it's mentioned in their data from Games Industry. The physical sales data only accounted for a measly 5.8% in comparison, but it should be noted that this is skewed, with some companies continuing to not provide sales data through their digital services. Another thing to note is that the data appears to be heavily skewed due to PC gamers, where digital sales dominate, with 98% of sales being done digitally via PC. Console games, in comparison, are less pronounced, with 72% of sales being done through digital storefront. It's important to understand that the data taken is based on video game sales revenue rather than total units sold as well. And I think that changes a lot of things because, for example, you can go pick up, and it's sort of changing definitely on the Sony side. I can't speak on the Xbox side, but like the PlayStation Classics, you could always go to like a Target, a Walmart, pick those up eventually for $20 a piece and just, they're in the red case, you're done with them. But 72% on the consoles, I guess that's kind of what I thought it would be at. I'd be interested to see how that's broken out. Sony, Xbox, and then Switch. I would assume Switch is still heavily physical. Just granted kids and shit like that.
I don't. Yeah, I feel like Switch is kind of a weird one. Yeah, I was gonna say Switch is any mobile console. It's very nice to have
digital.
That way you don't have to bring your games with you. You just bring the fucking console and you're done, right?
And if you have a kid, they can't lose cartridges and shit.
Yeah, my kids they were awful about leaving those fucking things. And then the trick to that is you just make that game go bye-bye, disappear for a little while, and then when they come fucking looking for it, it's like, oh, that's weird.
I just found
Shouldn't have left it out.
Stove.
Right. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out who the 2% of people that are playing actual like discs on a PC.
Here's the question too. That's quite impressive too, because there's not many PC games that get a physical release.
And even if they do get a big box, it comes with a digital code to download the game.
So does that really count?
Bizarre.
Right?
I don't know. Yeah. Where does that go?
I would say like 90% of the games that come with it don't come on discs. They come with a digital code. So where does that fit in? I would assume that would fit digital. I
would think it'd have to. Because you're redeeming the code on the storefront.
So, quick last question on this, just quickly, and then we'll get into listener questions quickly and wrap it up. Are you over owning physical games?
No, I still enjoy having physical games, depending on what it is.
What part of it do you enjoy? Because this is a big argument out there where people are like,
I
it's so stupid.
I like to collect, right? Like I've always liked to collect. I used to buy a lot more physical games because I would, if I didn't end up enjoying it or I beat it real quick, I could trade it in. I don't do that as much anymore because I don't go anywhere where I really can trade anything in, and half the time it's barely even worth it anymore.
Yeah, GameStop sucks for that.
Yeah, GameStop sucks. Even our local shop isn't incredible for some of that. The other side of it is like half the time I'm game sharing with people, right? So it's like you throw in $30, I throw in $30, we got a fucking game. And even if it sucks, we're out $30 versus
60,
well, I guess now it's $70, but
soon to be 80.
still, I don't know. I still like the collection aspect of it. I am starting to go more digital, but the other side of digital is the fact that you are paying for a license to play that game. You don't actually own the game. So there are instances of like fucking Stadia. Google was actually pretty cool about it, where they were like, "Hey, we'll refund all of these games," which is wild. But something like Nintendo or whatever, right? Like they aren't gonna do that. There's no way they would ever do that if they shut down the storefront. They notoriously have not. Like you still own it if you have your account and everything, but it's not. I don't know.
They've notoriously just taken access away from things too. Like, hey, here's Super Mario, 35 anniversary edition or whatever, and we're just gonna take that. That's gonna be available for 6 months digitally, and then we're just gonna take it down, and it's never gonna be available again, and it never comes with a physical copy. Like, that sucks. Right. There's something also oddly super like, maybe it's nostalgic for me, but also just seeing like the games that you have on a shelf.
Yes.
All lined up.
Yeah, I have all of mine
satisfying.
displayed. Like I enjoy having that kind of displayed.
Yeah, versus like you go into your collection on your PS5 and you scroll and you see a bunch of squares and you're just like, and you're like, wow, that's a lot of games, but like I don't technically own any of them. Just these amount on the shelf. But also, I get I also understand when people are like, well, you don't really own the physical copy anymore as well, because the disc is really just an approval system to know that you own it, and most of the shit has day one updates where half the game's on the disc and now you're downloading the rest on the store.
Yeah. I mean,
so I get it. I just my last stronghold is the trade-in piece. Is that's about it. And even to your point, I don't really do that as much anymore, because it's like, fuck, you go buy a game, you go take it to GameStop, and like instantly it's only worth $10, and you're like, oh, I'll just hold on to it.
Yeah. Yeah, at a certain point, it's just really not worth it. There used to be a time where you would buy games, and you'd buy like 2 games, and you'd be able to trade those 2 games in and get another game or whatever, right? Because you lose money on them inherently, but at the end of the day, like, there was a case to be made for that. But now it's like you go to trade a game in at GameStop, they're like, I don't know, I got some fucking lint and a paper clip you can have, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, thanks. I'll just go fuck myself then.
Hey, you can trade this in for a pro membership, and we get you a copy of Game Informer 2 months late, sent to your mailbox, all rolled up as fuck and wet. Can I interest you in that?
Yeah.
Can I interest you in an iPhone 8?
Right.
With the replaced screen.
I've got a burrito that I got from the gas station this morning. Okay, cool.
You could actually just trade in a DSi or a DS Lite in. If you're interested in that, I could probably do that for about $60 on top of this, and about a 2-year warranty costs you another $20. What do you think about that? Shut the fuck up. Get the fuck. Like, I looked. What's crazy is I think there was a post on Reddit where the lowest value trade in, and this piece kind of makes sense because you need like the actual like toy piece, but Skylanders, just the disc, is 85 cents. Is what you will get at GameStop.
Yeah, I don't.
But it's 85 cents. It was the point.
Or people were trading in their like Skylanders characters. Like there's a ton of them at our local shop. They had like a whole case dedicated to these fucking Skylanders characters. It's like I just don't know who's buying these. I clearly no one, because they kept filling up the case. I don't know. We're very clearly heading towards predominantly digital, and it works well for especially PC. Like Steam is, I fucking love Steam. Steam is fantastic. It works exceptionally well. I at this point I don't have any reason to not trust the company either. They've kept true to a lot of what they have said, right? Whereas I don't trust PlayStation as much. I don't trust Xbox as much. I fucking trust Steam.
Yeah, Gabe.
Yeah, I mean they treat their platform well, right? And I think that's a good thing. But I don't have the same faith, and I really don't trust Nintendo. Like ultimately, out of the three, I do not fucking trust Nintendo. They have a history of doing some funky shit, or re-releasing a game every time they come out with a new console, of like, oh well, you gotta buy it for full price again, even though you already own it on the console generation prior. It's just I don't know. It is what it is, but ultimately, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to hit up listener questions quickly? We can answer these pretty quickly, and
yes. So Evan asked us, what is our most anticipated game for next year, and what is our favorite game experience this year?
You want to go first?
Sure. Zelda. Breath of the Wild 2, or fucking Tears of a Kingdom. That is probably my most anticipated, even though I despise the fact that the Switch is constantly showing its age, and I feel like visually it's going to be somewhat disappointing. Granted, they know how to use their system and get the most out of it, but I want more. I want Switch 2 or whatever the fuck. It was kind of a tough one though, because I also am really looking forward to Final Fantasy 16. The more I see of it though, I'm a little skeptical, so we'll see how some of that plays out. My favorite game / experience from this year is easily Elden Ring. I haven't been so focused on a game like that in a very, very long time. I put like 130 hours into it, and didn't even really think about it. Like I was just thoroughly over the moon and excited to play that game every time I turned it on, and loved every moment of it. And the water cooler moments that we had, as the game was, people were still learning about it and exploring and finding things. Our Discord, really, really went in on it. Mainly, I think me and Nick, but we had a lot of good talks about it, and thoroughly was, easily took my favorite game of the year. So
I guess it's not confirmed yet, but I think it will come out. So I don't know if this counts. Anticipate would be a Spider-Man 2 game.
Oh, it is. According to the devs, it is definitely coming out this year. So that is true. I did kind of forget. I was trying to think of what games are coming out next year. Spider-Man beats out Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
for me too.
That would be my most anticipated. In terms of games this year, to be honest with you, it's kind of weird, but like I'd honestly would say Overwatch 2. And the only reason why I say that is because I really thought it was just going to die.
Still time.
There's still time. I would say that right now it's crazy because I also have had a blast. So I had a blast with it actually in the very beginning. And then full disclosure, I straight up uninstalled that fucking game last week from my PlayStation.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So
wow.
I feel like if I'm to be honest, that's the one that I've actually had the most. I was surprised that I actually had the most fun with this year, and then last week obviously it changed. I don't know if that necessarily would take away that, because that was probably the most interesting piece, because I really did think that they did a solid job on the game and stuff. But I also don't really give a shit about the microtransactions. That doesn't really shadow for me, because I'm not buying that. I don't care. I really don't care about the skins and shit like that. I've never really cared about skins unless like I've got a third person view and I can really see the character the entire time. I could care less.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's probably what my picks would be. But I'm so stoked for Spider-Man 2.
Overwatch 2, they, with their most recent season, they launched a new tank. I didn't even know. I had no fucking idea. I just saw key art the other day showing off that.
And we were just like, this is fucking broken. Like, straight up.
I saw some art for it the other day showing off the Poseidon skin. I think it was an ad for like the Blizzard store or whatever. I'm like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah, so
he's the new tank
character. It's just the balance of that game is brutal. Like in this last update, they had it kind of nailed down in the last one previously. There's little hiccups here and there, but it just seems so way off this last time around that we're just like, fuck this, and I uninstalled it. Okay, next question. What do we got?
What do you want to see made into a video game? What do you want brought back as a remaster?
Shoot. You go first on this. We'll go on the order we've been going.
Oh boy.
Or if you're not ready, I can. You want me to do it?
Yeah, go for it.
So this should be of no surprise, but I would really like to see Roller Coaster Tycoon actually be properly remastered. There's a fantastic, and not just, I mean, I guess it would really be its own new game, but I want to see it in that isometric style with the graphics that were done in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. There's a fantastic documentary on YouTube by NoClip on the Roller Coaster Tycoon franchise, and how currently there are games like Planet Coaster and Parkitect that both touch different points of what that game was, but there's still a massive void for a game to kind of unite those on a medium level. Like, because like Parkitect is like super hardcore into the back end business side of theme park simulation, and Planet Coaster is super heavy into the design focus of it. Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 specifically was a perfect balance of those two things from a casual simulation perspective and strategy game. And if they could bring back with those graphics, it would be fucking fantastic. Absolutely phenomenal if they could bring something like that back. There's an open source thing called OpenRCT, which was developed, and the devs on that are amazing, and it allows multiplayer and co-op within parks, and it brings in better mods. It brings in better lighting systems, weather, stuff like that. If they can bring that kind of piece into it, that would, like, Atari should focus their efforts there. Atari's focus their efforts on dumb shit, like bringing a console and all this other shit. You're not going to bring a fucking console people give a shit about. Put your classic games on the fucking store and then focus on that piece, because they fucked around with it so much and brought it to like mobile and other shit. Bring it back. That would be my thing that I would want to see. What was the second part of the question? Was it, what do I not want to see? Or was that
no,
it?
What do you want to see made into a video game?
Oh, what do I want to see made into a video game? Fuck, that's fucking tough.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
There's not a really, I don't think there's really any, like, there's no TV show I could think of that would be great into that. Movies, fuck, I don't know, man.
I would agree with that.
There's nothing, like, all the sports are already done.
Yeah.
There's no, yeah, I don't know. I really don't think there's anything that I'm like, man, I really want to see this adaptation in a video game. I couldn't answer that.
I'm with you on that. I'm having a very hard time trying to think of anything I would want to see. I mean, your thing that's probably going to lend itself the best is going to be some sort of an anime, but typically anime games are bad. So that's a fucking Eric. I don't know, man.
Star Wars, like, I know there's Star Wars games, but I guess maybe like a Battlefront again, but like massive, like Clone Wars focus. Like
Yeah.
Battlefront 2 originally was on the PlayStation 2, but like massive, battles, huge battles. That's about
I
it. I can't think of anything
yeah.
else.
I it's weird because there's so many. Everybody's getting that Marvel fatigue, but having a good X-Men game would be fucking cool. That is
Mm-hmm.
about the only thing that I'd be pretty ecstatic for. But even then,
Like you're getting
some of the games are.
Wolverine.
Yeah, we're getting Wolverine.
You talking
I
like a
mean,
full fledged like you can like Suicide Squad style
yeah,
with
like
you can
pick your
control all
character.
five
Yeah,
going out
something
there in
like
a
that would be
jet.
really cool, if done well. But I mean, we just had Marvel's Midnight Suns, and it's like from what I've heard, it's I'm waiting on a deep sale before I pick it up.
Yeah.
But they lean too heavily into the whole like
Yeah, I don't know.
almost persona level of things, where
I
you're
have
like,
no idea.
I don't know. That one's tough. As far as a remaster, I would love to see Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time be remastered. The N64 Zelda games are some of my fucking favorites, and I would love to see those get like a very, very fresh coat of paint. Not just like a little bit of we made it a little bit better and added some quality of life. Like, I want to see modern day Zelda graphics, but Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time.
You know what I learned that was fascinating? You might know this already. With Twilight Princess, because it came from GameCube and went to Wii,
Mm-hmm.
Link's dominant hand is left.
Switched.
Right, it's switched, but the entire game is flipped.
Yeah.
They flipped
Yeah.
the entire fucking game just so that,
Mhm.
predominantly people are right-handed. It's just wild to me. That's crazy. Any
Yeah,
other
they did some
questions?
crazy shit for that. I gotta read through Nick's here a little bit because I'm not gonna talk about the Death Stranding movie. Sorry,
No,
Nick.
we can't. We just
We're
don't know
not
enough.
we're not the people
experts.
for that question. He said with High on Life being a success, Game Pass and the number one third party release on it, does this give Squanch Games the more fire in them to create bigger experiences? I would think this is already a pretty big experience for them. To go from Trover Saves the Universe to this is a pretty fucking big
What's the
step.
gameplay hours on it?
Let's
You wanna look that
see
up?
here.
I would say this. I think the reason why it's done so well or how big it is first of all, there's big fandom for that kind of stuff.
A lot of people that I've heard talking about it aren't even big fans of Justin Roiland.
I think the big thing on it too is that it's just different of a game.
Yeah.
But if you re-release that game again in a different style, but like I mean, in terms of the gameplay and the raunchiness of the humor and comedy, would it do well again? I don't know. It's so starkly different that I don't know if it would really. It's so fresh and new that
I would agree.
I don't know if it would really hit it out of the park the next time around. But
I could see them trying to go with something bigger. The thing about this, so it says it's about 8.5 hours to just if you mainline it. If you want to do more, if you like want 100% complete it, it's about 15.5 hours. So ultimately, it's not a small game. It's not a huge game either. But I think with how they focus mainly on the world building and like there's crazy amounts of dialogue in this game. Like if you let the gun go, the main gun, Kevin, I think,
yes,
he'll talk for like 8 fucking minutes and just ramble on. Like they put their time and effort into things other than making this a big long game. I for one can appreciate like a good 10-hour game occasionally because there's so many games you can dump a shitload of time into. I could see them going for something bigger, but I feel like this style of game with all of this constant in your face, like trying to be funny and this and that, I don't know if it lends itself very well to a larger experience. I think a 10-hour game is probably about what you could get out of something like this without it becoming entirely too painful to listen to,
yeah.
I guess. Nick said I like Trover. It wasn't a knock on Trover. It was just an assessment of the size of the
Trover
game
was
and what it
totally
was.
not the same game. Trover
Yeah,
was a focus on fucking VR. That was
right.
the whole thing of Trover.
I think they're gonna continue, right? Like Justin Rowland is he's a big fan of games, and I think I think there is a fire for him to create bigger experience, but I also hope he does more. Like up until this point, he has pretty much done Rick and Morty in Trover. He did Rick and Morty in this, like more or less.
It's the same thing.
You gotta do something else, or else you're not gonna have
You'll get
the
stale.
legs on this, right? Yeah, it's gonna become stale. People are gonna be like, oh yeah, that's the fucking people that make Morty in a different game or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you have an answer, or that pretty well take care of what you had to say about it as well?
No, that's you took care of my stuff just fine. I think that's absolutely fine. Yeah, it could possibly go stale. Is that all for listener questions?
Nick asked about The Last of Us coming to HBO. We kind of already answered that when we were talking earlier. He asked about Valve's next title, Neon Prime, is coming out and is within the Half-Life universe. The next Half-Life / sequel to Half-Life 2, Half-Life Alyx. Do you think Valve will actually deliver on both of these titles? Yes, I think they will make a very competent Half-Life spin-off, but it is not going to be a Half-Life 3. Is there any physical games you do want? For me, a big box of Doom OG is a need for me. Any for you guys? I'm not big into the big box games. I wasn't a PC gamer playing a lot of these games back then.
Yeah.
So I don't really have any desire for like some old school style big box. I think some of them are pretty cool and neat to look at, but they also take up a fucking lot of space.
Ton of space. And so, like, my problem with that too is, and some are really good than others. Like, and I think they've really only gotten better over the years. But like, example, Bethesda box set is really good. Really good. But and you get like some good things in them, you know, like you get a special edition item or whatever, but then like some of them they just throw in a bunch of garbage and shit where you're like, none of this is worth it. So it's not for me. I'm not a huge fan of that piece. Plus big boxes are, like you said, they take up a fuck ton of room. So
yeah, I don't have anything that I really want a physical copy for that I don't already have or anything like that, but no.
Cool. All right, well, hey, that's going to do it for this episode. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Diggity Podcast. Join our free Discord as well, Spawn Camp Discord. That link is in the show notes below on the audio version of the podcast, as well as in this YouTube video. The Discord is free to join, so not many things are free. It's a great community. People are getting together on there. We don't just talk games. We talk what the hell we're eating, what we cooked, sports, F1, you name it. It's in there. So go check that out. And I mentioned Spawn Camp. Spawn Camp is a collection of multiple content creators, everything from Gunpla podcasts with the Bill Bros to PC and kind of pop culture podcasting, which is the WASD and Beyond Boys. And then there's us with Diggity, which is more the kind of gaming news and business as well as console gaming for podcasts. If you want to go over there, go to Spawn Camp, youtube.com/SpawnCampCo. Get over there and subscribe. And until next time, guys, have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you next week, which will be the last show of the year before we hit